What happens when an 80-year-old president promises to grow his country's economy from 66 billion to 500 billion in just 5 years, while his own government says it will take 15 years? Just this month, Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni officially announced he's running for a 7th term in January 2026, armed with this audacious economic promise. But according to the UK Guardian and Uganda's own National Development Plan, even his finance ministry says this timeline is impossible. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. Do you think massive economic growth can happen without political freedom? Drop your thoughts as we explore this together. Welcome back to the African Reset, where we dig beneath the headlines to bring you the real stories shaping our continent. Uganda stands at a crossroads. President Museveni, who has ruled since 1986, is running for yet another term in January, armed with an audacious promise. Take Uganda's GDP from around $66 billion to a staggering $500 billion in just 5 years. But here's the catch. The government's own official economic roadmap, as cited in Uganda's National Development Plan and by the IMF, puts the $500 billion target almost 15 years away, by 2040, not 2030. This stark mismatch between political promises and economic reality raises big questions about credibility and trust. It's not just about numbers. Museveni's long rule has seen real gains, periods of macroeconomic stability, new roads and power stations, and expanded exports. According to the World Bank, Uganda's poverty rate has fallen from 31% in 2006 to about 16% today. But for millions of Ugandans, especially in rural areas, prosperity remains a dream. Most still survive on subsistence farming, and youth unemployment is rampant, fueling frustration and a hunger for change. But here's what's really troubling. As the economy has inched forward, Uganda's democracy has slid back. And this raises a critical question. Can you build lasting prosperity on a foundation of shrinking freedoms? Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch report widespread suppression of dissent. Museveni's government repeatedly changed the constitution to remove presidential term and age limits, entrenching his hold on power despite widespread public opposition. Even after Uganda's Supreme Court ruled in January 2025 that civilians shouldn't be tried in military courts, authorities continued the practice, targeting opposition leaders like Kizza Besigye and using security forces to silence critics. These abuses come with a real economic price tag. Uganda recently lost access to World Bank funding and was made ineligible for crucial U.S. trade preferences under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, all because of what international bodies call gross violations of human rights. Investors and partners are now wary, and some fear Uganda's hopes for an oil-fueled boom could be derailed by corruption and mismanagement. A classic resource curse. Enter Robert Kyagulanyi, better known as Bobi Wine, and his youthful National Unity platform. Drawing on a platform of people-centered governance, anti-corruption, and inclusive economic development, Bobi Wine has tapped into the frustrations of Uganda's next generation. He's called out what he describes as a small clique, looting the country's resources, and his party's manifesto prioritizes universal education, healthcare, and real jobs, not just big GDP numbers on paper. In the disputed 2021 election, Wine officially took over a third of the vote, but independent observers, according to Reuters and the BBC, reported widespread irregularities and intimidation. With the 2026 elections now officially confirmed, the stakes couldn't be higher. The Electoral Commission claims to be working towards transparency, but history and ongoing crackdowns have left many skeptical. The result is a country where political stability comes at the cost of freedom and inclusion, creating simmering risks beneath the surface. As the IMF and Ugandan Finance Ministry warn, even the more realistic 2040 economic targets will be impossible without better governance, human capital investment, and genuine rule of law. So where does Uganda go from here? Museveni's government touts a tenfold growth strategy built on agriculture, tourism, minerals, especially oil, and science and innovation. These sectors could transform Uganda, but only if managed transparently and only if growth benefits reach everyone, not just a privileged elite. Otherwise, the risk of unrest, deepening poverty, and lost opportunities will persist. Uganda's story is a warning and a lesson for all of Africa. Lofty promises and mega-projects mean little if everyday people remain trapped by poverty, and if the rule of law and human rights are sacrificed in the name of political control. What do you think? Will Museveni's economic gamble pay off, or does Uganda need a new direction to deliver true prosperity and democracy for all? And here's another question. Do you see similar patterns in your own country? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Uganda's political crossroads, don't forget to subscribe to the African Reset for more stories like this. We're covering all the major African elections leading up to 2026, so hit that notification bell to stay updated. And if you want to catch up on all the weekend's biggest political news from across Africa, check the video description for a link to the African Reset blog. Thanks for watching. Your voice matters.